James Carville, thank you so much for joining me again this morning on a very big
Thank you
week.
for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I want to start by asking you about Chevalier. She, of course, is the Democratic nominee in Congressional District 13. Politico says the Dems already had AOC. Now they have DAC. What are your thoughts on Chevalier being a leader of the party potentially?
I don't think that the congressional Democrat should seat her as a member of the Democratic Party. She actually describes herself as a Democratic Socialist. I don't have anything in common with someone that says that they're against interracial dating or doesn't want to have any incarceration for convicted felons. That's just not who I think the Democratic Party is, and they ought to let her be a Democratic Socialist. But I don't think they should. You know, you can't kick her out of Congress. She was voted, but she doesn't have to be in a Democratic caucus.
So you want her out of the Democratic caucus, and she's not in isolation. There are other socialists as well, three of whom won in New York on Tuesday night. I want to ask you, though, you say she's not the Democratic Party, but we do have this poll that I want to pull up, and it shows that net favorability for socialism within the party is at 66%. So how do you deal with not welcoming them in the party when your base is saying, we're okay with this idea?
Well, party do not think they think it's a good idea. If you're talking about the state controlling production, no, under no circumstances. But socialism is a word that gets thrown around, and most people that use it are not acquainted with what it means. And you know, you go to places like Scandinavia, who tend to be much more socialist than we are, and they're, if anything, more democratic than we are. But I don't know how people describe themselves at all. That's one thing. How they vote is another. Jason Crow, we recruited veterans all across the country, vote vets. We went in a lot of seats like that. And these are the kind of Democrats that I want to help and be a part of the same party. I don't have anything in common with Ms. Chevalier, and I really don't want to be in the same party she's in.
So, James, Alyssa Slotkin is someone who is widely hailed as a great candidate as a Democrat. She outperformed Kamala Harris by 1%. She won the state. Yes. She gave the State of the Union response. She came out this morning and said that she wants new leadership within the Democratic Party, both in the Senate and the House. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I'm crazy about Senator Slotkin. That's her job. She's the United States Senate. She gets to vote on who the leadership is. My job is to to try to get her as many votes as she can to affect her. And you're right, she won in a state while Trump was carrying Michigan. She won it. We should pay attention to her on a lot of different things. I'm a big fan of Senator Slotkin.
Okay, fair that you don't want to get involved in the leadership within Congress because you are on the campaign side after all. I understand that. You did say that there needs to be definitive action by party elders. I heard you say that in another interview, and I'm wondering what you think that would look like and who that should be.
I guess I'm getting to think of what I was talking about in the context of Congressperson, the Democratic. I was thinking specifically about the New York race and Chevalier. But I just can't see how she can be part of the same coalition that we're all part of. And I understand that, you know, in a coalition, you have to have a lot of slack in your line because not everybody's going to agree with me. But this is just, as they would say, this is a bridge too far. That's the only way I can put it. And a bridge I want to cross. And I think a lot of Democrats feel the same way that I do.
Well, I mean, it is a bridge too far. She's talked about using the American flag as a napkin, abolishing ICE, no deportations. It's wild. Yeah.
You don't need
uses to excuse this or defend any of these self-identified communists. He has Slotkin now, who's on board with him. There were 13 Democrats in the House who said, hey, we're not on board with this. And I'm wondering, do you think more will come on board? Why are more not on board now and calling this out the way, let's say, Fetterman has?
Well, look, these are people that say that they're on board. They've been asked about it. What you don't know is how many more are coming. But I think you got to throw the idea out, and it's something that Democrats are going to have to answer for. If you want to have political power, of which we do, in which I think we will require come November, then you have to answer these kind of questions. You shouldn't duck them. And I think there's going to be something to deal with. And the Hakeem is going to have to deal with this. It's not going away. I mean, I'm sure he understands and knows that. But to this extent of this one instance, I think the Democrats need to stand up and say, this is not who we are. We do not determine who you can date or not date. That is your own business. You can date whoever you want. And when you start telling people they can't date somebody of a different race or a different gender, I don't know, whatever the hell it is, that's not my business. It's never been any of my business. It's certainly not now. And I just think that's not why it's crazy.
It is. And then final question for you. You've talked about a schism. It's time for Democrats to talk about a schism. What does that look like in practice? You've said not seating some of these members in Congress, calling them out verbally. What kind of schism are you talking about?
Well, I guess the schism I was talking about specifically was a schism with the DSA, Ms. Chevalier. I mean, that's the start of it. And again, I want to be clear. I believe in a big tent. I mean, everybody doesn't have to agree with me. If you can be for Medicare for all, which I don't think is a particularly good idea, but I got just fine. I would campaign. I would help you. I mean, you said a different view about how to expand healthcare. You're going too far when you start. And if you want to say, as I do, that I think the government of Israel makes horrific decisions. I don't support them in any way. That's fine. I agree with you. But when you say Israel should not exist, then I'm gone. You left the house with me. That there's a whole difference between not liking a regime or a government and denying that some people have a right to exist. And I think we should draw a very clear line there.
Well, we will see if more Democrats come on board to that position. James Carville, thank you so much for your time. I know you just came right from an event.
By media mogul Rupert Murdoch and former Republican media consultant Roger Ailes. Ownership, it is a subsidiary of the Fox Corporation. Focus, the network was created to provide an alternative perspective to what its founders perceived as a liberal bias in mainstream media. It is widely recognized for its conservative-leaning political commentary and opinion programming. Reach and influence. It is consistently one of the most watched cable news networks in the United States and plays a significant role in American political discourse. Programming and content. Fox News provides 24-hour news and informational programming, though it is perhaps best known for its evening opinion shows. The network emphasizes a mix of traditional news reporting alongside commentary programs that feature hosts who provide analysis and opinion on current events, often from a conservative viewpoint. Reception and controversy. Audience. The network has a large loyal viewership, particularly among conservative audiences and Republicans. Research from the Pew Research Center indicates that while it is the most trusted news source for many Republicans, it also faces significant levels of distrust from Democrats and liberal-leaning viewers. Criticism. Throughout its history, the network has faced criticism regarding its editorial slant, with some observers arguing that its coverage is heavily biased in favor of the Republican Party and conservative causes. It has also been the subject of various controversies, including high-profile scandals involving its on-air talent and allegations of biased reporting. Would you like to know more about specific Fox News programs, their history, or recent ratings?